While it's hip to be square, it's fun to be round, too. Hey, it's Kari. Welcome to my Ticket to Lake. I'm going to make a little round journal, like Kari at Mixed Media Arts. Not my idea, totally copying it. Hers is a pretty little guy. The one that she's been working on lately is not much bigger than this, which is fun. I love working in miniature. I have my little miniature watercolor books right out. I love working small. But for this journal, I grabbed this. I thought this would work. This is just an old Jif peanut butter, my watercolor thing. But I wanted it even a little bit bigger than that, because I watched one of her earlier videos, and I'll link it below. She has one that has mixed media elements to it. She's got a lot of bling. There's a beautiful old safety pin in it, and some beaded things, and some hangy bangles and hangy things, and I just, for me, I thought I wanted that. I want to do it that way, and so I wanted a little bit bigger. So I got this wide mouth canning jar lid, and this is what I'm going to use. You can use anything you have. You can go as small or as large as you want. There are no rules. This just feels better to me than this, so that's what I'm going to go with. She, I believe, said that hers is watercolor paper. And I have a variety of different watercolor pads and things that are left over from old pads. I have all this miscellaneous watercolor paper. So that's what I'm going to be using. Some of it's brighter. You can see this is nice bright white, and this is kind of a creamy. That's not, this is a mixed bag journal, so it doesn't really matter. I just wanted different things. Take a couple pieces out of here to play with as well. I have this nice little, I think it's 4x6 travel. This I used to keep in my bike backpack so that I could go and do little sketches when I went on bike rides, watercolor sketches with my little travel watercolor kit. I don't do that very much anymore, so I brought this inside, and I'm just gonna take a few pages out of here and use that for my little book. And it's, it's simple stuff. I love this little tiny, it's a block. I just love that it's such a tiny little block. This I haven't done anything with in a really long time, so same here. This, I'm not gonna, what else do we have that we can use up? We'll take a blank page off this block and 2 used pages. And we'll take, yowza, that's bright. Woohoo! Nice bright colors. Do I want that in there? Question mark. It's already circles. I think it's too bright. It's a little over. Of course, I could gesso it down. We'll put it in as a challenge. These pages will be challenge pages. For sure. So I'm just going to take a blank one out of the back here of that. So we have 2 pieces of that. I have no idea what kind of piece. This might even be from here. Yeah, that's from here. And then this is real watercolor paper, Winsor & Newton, that I broke down from a full sheet. But I don't think I want to give up good watercolor paper for it. So I'm just going to take that other page out of here and put that in there and see where we're at. See how many we're going to end up with. And I don't have a giant punch. I don't have a 3-inch punch. Or I don't have any big round. So I'm having to use the old-fashioned pencil and tracing method that we learned in school. I'm going to have to make that work. And that is okay. So I'm not going to be able to fit quite 2. Let's just trace one. So I can't get 3 across because there's not enough room to do a third. So if I push it all the way over there, then I have room to do one here. And I'm going to push it as far up as I can so that I have a nice, at least a strip of watercolor that I can use for making collage fodder or another mini watercolor journal. So there's 6 pages, 9 pages. And I think I'm only going to be able to do 1 on this little guy. So there's 12. But what I could do is make a few smaller. Something that'll take up as much of that as possible. That'll give me 6 more pages. And it'll give the book some interesting dimensions. And if I wanted to, I could do the same thing here. Oh, and then I'll have all kinds of pages. And then what I'll do is stagger them. Or maybe stack them, small to large. I'll play around with that and see how it goes. So now how many pages do we have? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. I am grabbing whatever I can that has a circle in it. That didn't work out. Oh well, I'll come back to that. I'll figure that out at a later date. So I'm going to go cut these out, and we'll be back. So I have them all cut. I did 1 more set of small, so now I have a total of 24 pages for my little round journal. That's so cute. I love it already. Now I have to decide, do I want to stack them like this, large to small, or do I want to intermingle them just kind of randomly throughout, so you just never know when you're going to get a little one or when you're going to get a big one. See how that feels. This is so bright. Holy smokes. My challenge pages. So there will have to be a top. Put 1 on the top. So then when I flip through, there's a little one and another little one and a medium one and then 2 medium ones. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet. I gotta feel my way. See how this feels. I kind of like that 3 on the top, question mark. And so then if I do it this way, would all 3 of these be the cover? So that I would design something on all 3 of them as if it were 1 page. I don't know. So many options. And what I'm going to do once I figure it out is I am going to either use my Crocodile Big Bite on the 3/16 hole punch. Nice big super sharp blade that will go through several of these at once. Not all of them at once, but several. But you don't need the Crocodile to do that. If you don't have that, this goes through watercolor paper beautifully. You can get these anywhere. You probably already have one. And it's a nice, clean, beautiful hole. I may even do this because it's a little bit bigger of a hole. I'm not sure. I'm going to play around with it a little bit. I got this pack of 1.5 inch rings from Amazon not too long ago. I think it was about $5. Just for these kind of projects. So my plan is to, depending on what I decide to do with the cover, either do 1 hole and a ring or 2 holes and 2 rings so that it kind of feels more like a notebook rather than a key ring. Again, I think that's going to depend on which way I decide to go with my construction. Large to small or intermingled. I don't know. I do know I don't want the same exact thing. If I am intermingling them, they should be different. So that would be something I'd have to sit down and just organize. And I wouldn't want all these colored ones, these challenge ones, all in one bulk, all in one either. So those would have to be dispersed. So if I do mix it up, it's going to take just a little bit of thought and some time to do it properly, or just stack them by size. Whatever. This was easy. You don't need any special tools. Heavier paper would be best. If you don't have watercolor paper, perhaps you have mixed media paper. That's pretty heavy, and that will take a good deal of play. You could also glue 2 pages of mixed media paper together. Let that dry completely, and then cut your circles out. You could use cardstock. That would be an entirely different kind of feel to the book. So you don't have to have watercolor paper either. And you don't have to have new watercolor paper. Maybe you've done some watercolors that just didn't work out. Cut them up. I can gesso this out. I can obliterate this completely by gesso and some white acrylic and start with a clean, fresh canvas. Or I can work with it, push it back, tone it down, collage over it. There's all kinds of things that you can do. Or some of them, there were some less obnoxious colored ones. I think they were the smaller. Like this. This would make a great background. You know, that makes a great start for something. A little more vintage, a little softer feel. So if you have some old watercolors that you don't think you're going to be using, cut them up. Or that you haven't used. This has probably been around. Last time I was painting was probably 5 years ago. So at least 5-6 years old. Another thing that you can do, I think, would be to glue some index cards together. Again, glue them really well. I'd use a glue stick so it's nice and thorough and dry. Glue a couple index cards together. They don't have to be painted. They can be plain. And then cut your circles out. So there's lots of options to get yourself to a round journal. You don't need watercolor paper, but it helps. Because I intend to watercolor on this a lot because my watercolors are now handy and easily accessible. I want to watercolor a lot more than I have been. So I am using watercolor paper, but it's not required. I'm also probably going to use these new sprays that I made. I'll show you one with actual color in it that I just posted a video not too long ago about that. I will use those sprays on here as well. Mixed media paper will take it. Index cards will take it. Cardstock will take it. So you have all kinds of options. If you want to make a round journal, by all means, make one. And next time we come together, I'll have this together and I'll do a page or 2 in it. So here's how I decided to go. I have a small one, a medium one on top of the large ones, and they are strewn throughout with 2 rings. The little ones, there just wasn't room unless I came way down, and I didn't want to do that. So the little ones are just on 1 ring. The other ones are all on 2 rings. This is going to be the top, these 3. So I don't know if I don't know how the cover is going to work. And then the pages are just random size-wise throughout. You never know what you're going to get. That's where I decided to go with it. And I can't wait to play in here. Do something round. I think it's going to be so much fun to work in a completely different frame than we're used to. We're so used to copy paper size, 8.5 by 11 or A4, A5 square. To work in something round, it's going to be completely different. You know, you have different boundaries and different focal point options, and I just think it's going to be great fun, so I look forward to it. Get some heavy-duty paper together. I went through the list: watercolor paper, index cards glued together, cardstock, mixed media paper, sketchbook paper, glue a few pages together, cut out some circles so you have your pages have some heft or some body to them, and then we can play along. If you don't have these rings and you don't have a cinch and you don't have other options, you can tie ribbons through the holes. It doesn't have to be these metal rings. You can twine them together. You can hook rubber bands through together. So it doesn't have to be metal. It could be old key rings. Everybody's got a junk drawer full of key rings. Go snag a couple key rings. It'll be a pain, but you could do it. All kinds of different ways to make this happen. You could hinge them together too with washi tape. Instead of having holes, you could just hinge them at the top in the center, or you could have 2 hinges, 2 or 3 hinges at the top, and hinge them together that way. Lots and lots of options. So play along. I think it'd be great fun. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're having a lovely, lovely crafty day. Please go love up your beastlies, because again, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. And they deserve it, because they're wonderful. You take care. Ma take at the lake. Out for now.